Okay, let's get started. Welcome everyone to the 31st episode of the SCT North America podcast. Today, Namarode Nithya Nair from the 2006 batch. I will let her introduce herself after we introduce ourselves. എല്ലാവർക്കും ഒരു early happy Onam. Onam, I think തിരുവോണം എന്നത് 7th, so we don't have an episode on the 7th, and probably next week we might or might not have an episode. So എല്ലാവർക്കും ഒരു ഹാപ്പി ഓണം ഇപ്പോഴേ പറഞ്ഞേക്കാണ്. We'll introduce the host first and then we can introduce Nithya after that. So myself, I'm Atul from 2008-2012 batch, Electronics and Communication, University of Central Florida in the Masters in Computer Engineering Chidu. Ipam, I'm working as a software engineer at Cisco in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Hi, I'm Ashwin. I'm a 2012 computer science bachelor. So I came to the US in 2016 for my master's, NC State University in Raleigh, North Carolina. So after graduation, I started working with VMware in Bellevue, Washington. So
Nice.
that's me.
Yeah, thanks, Ashwin. Nithya, if you can give it.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Nithya Nair. I'm a 2002 to 2006 batch in SCT, Electronics and Communication Engineering. After I graduated, I got a job with Infosys and as a software engineer, and I was working in multiple places there, and I moved to US in 2009, and from then on, I've been in US. Right now, I'm working as a director of software engineering in Lowe in North Carolina, Charlotte in North Carolina.
Yeah, thank you so much. Ashwin, maybe you want to get started with kind of simple questions. ആദ്യം ചോദിച്ചു തീർത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ പിന്നെ എളുപ്പമുണ്ടല്ലോ.
Okay, simple questions. Okay, so working in India versus working in the US, like what do you find is most different? Like what do you like?
So working in India, I mean, I have worked like maybe a couple of years there. So I started off as a software engineer, as I mentioned. So early years of working, obviously, I mean, there is a lot to learn, and you have to put in a lot of hours and I mean, timelines and deadlines and things like that. And I mean, at the time I started, it was like a different method of software development and things like that. So it was kind of difficult. I mean, long hours in office, and I mean, you're still like right out of college, and you got a lot to learn, kind of. So once I came here to the US, I would say it was a bit more flexible in terms of like I mean, you still have that team back in India to back you up when you need it, kind of, right? So you could like work your time and then hand it over to that team and all that. And then there are a lot of growth opportunities, I would say, here. I mean, I started off here as a software engineer again once I moved from India, and then I got like I mean, career growth as I went through my years. So I became a senior software engineer, a lead, and then so that kind of growth opportunity and exposure that you get here, right? It's really awesome. I mean, compared to India, being in India and working from there, right? You're still not that close to business and day-to-day challenges and all that. You don't get to feel that heat when you're here, right? That's when you get exposed to those kind of problems and any kind of issues that happens in production and all that. You get to feel that heat directly from the business. So that is kind of, I mean, good and very I mean, hectic environment, I would say, but then still there are like a lot of growth opportunities.
So in terms of on-site, like is it like അതിന്റെ basis എന്താ, like is it you perform very well in the team, otherwise is it kind of like random, like how do you get selected for an on-site?
So at the time, right, again, it was you get into that working model, and then couple of years into your work, pretty much everyone on the team gets that opportunity. It was not like now, right? I mean, you had a lot of opportunities to travel on site. Like I worked in India for like a year and a half. Like I mean, I graduated in 2006, and then I was there, and I was in Trivandrum, DC initial couple of years. Then after marriage, I moved to Bangalore, but then I was in Bangalore only for like 6 months. So within like couple of years, after I joined Infosys, I was able to travel on site. So it was, I mean, there were a lot of opportunities there. It was like, I mean, lottery-based visa system and all that, and they needed a lot of people here to support the team back in India, kind of. So it was good. I mean, again, depending on your performance, if you're not really a good performer or above average, kind of, you wouldn't for sure be asked that thing. But then opportunities were more, I would say, not like right now. I know, I mean, I've been hearing your podcast, right? I mean, I've seen that most of you had to like take up masters or MBA, or I mean, you came here to study and eventually you ended up working here, kind of, right?
Right.
At our time, it was kind of different. I mean, you get into that software industry and you get that opportunity and that, I mean, to travel on site and all that. I mean, that was not just Infosys, but pretty much all the service industries were of that sort.
Hmm. Yeah, I think right now, like for the H-1B visa, for 85,000 visas, more than 350,000 people are applying. So you're you're
That's
really
yeah.
you're just getting 1 in 4 chance. It's really become like a lottery to
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get the
I
visas.
mean,
Yeah.
it was a lottery at our time as well, and we got selected through lottery. It was not like everyone who applied got through, kind of. But then,
Mm.
yeah. But still, the openings were more. I mean, pretty much, almost like I would say, like 50% of who got applied, right? They would get through, kind of. So yeah.
Mm. So in terms of career growth, have you ever felt like not having a master's has ever impacted your growth in the company? Or
Not really. I mean, I had thought about taking masters multiple times. I had even given GRE a
or
couple
is
of
it
times, and I kept that score active and all that. But then, every time something or the other happened, and I got the opportunities that I was looking for, kind of. So I never really ended up doing that. But having that would be a great plus point, because that would add on to the kind of exposure and I mean, the deep technical knowledge you would get, right? Like, for instance, in my space, like domain knowledge. Like, for instance, I had attended couple of universities in Wisconsin and all, where I got to attend like classes. Like when you go for visits in those colleges, right? I mean, they would let you attend some of the classes, right? I did feel that the way that they talk about those subjects, right? If I had that kind of a knowledge, it would have been good. But then eventually you learn that on your job. But then
right?
that kind of knowledge, attending universities here and the way that they think through and all that, right? That would have been an added plus for sure. But then I never got the opportunity to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of you learn the culture also, like
Yeah. Yeah.
how the people here interact and how you build systems differently. Like so, I think that's kind of a little bit of value add when you do a master's here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ashwin, do you want to ask something?
Yes. So you are a director right now, right? So can you tell me, like, at what point you decided you don't want to be a software developer and you wanted to move into management or and go into that stream? Like, how was that? How did that happen?
So it was more about my interest being within that tactical and thought leadership kind of a role. Like, development is something I'm passionate about, but I didn't want to continue that as a long term career, kind of. I mean, I wanted to be able to influence how the business problems could be solved, and rather than doing it myself, right? I thought it'll be a good opportunity for me to learn and grow when I'm able to provide that kind. I mean, being in the retail industry for these many years, right? You kind of tend to get that domain knowledge and all that. And with that, I thought it'll be beneficial. Uh, I mean, that I got the opportunity to solve like critical business problems and all that. So that's why after like few years into being like a hands-on developer, I decided to switch my career. So it was back in like 2017, I think, that I moved on into that management stream. And from then on, I mean, it has been going really well. I mean, I got to play the role of a manager, a senior manager, and all that, being very hands-on in terms of execution, like solving the problems and getting things done within those deadlines and all that. That was something I was really passionate about. So that really helped. So yeah, being able to like influence the decisions that are being taken and all that, right? You get that opportunity when you are into this management kind of a role. So
Okay. So you
Yeah.
need would you say that like you need a lot of people skills in order to go transition?
for sure. I mean, people management is a very big part of this management stream. Like, I mean, I would say about 20%, 20 to 30% of my time goes in people management. Again, I did have some amount of background in that. Like, I was a team lead at some point when I was in Infosys, and then even back in the days, right? I used to organize a lot of group events and things like that. So that kind of a skill was something that I possessed. So I was able to make use of that skill when I moved into the management role. So for sure, people management is a very critical skill in this area. But then you also get to influence the way other people think, right? I mean, it's not just about like hiring and performance and all that, but it's more about influencing their thoughts, making them think in terms of how all what they are doing fits in that end-to-end picture and all that, right? So that's what is really critical when it comes to that people management skill.
So I hear a lot of managers and leaders talk about empathy when you're a leader, when you're a manager. So do you think that, I mean, I know you think it's a good skill to, like, good characteristic to have, but how does that play into the whole being a manager, leader kind of?
So it really helps build that trust factor between yourself and your associates, right? Like, if you show empathy towards, like, not just their professional life, right? Like, I talk to them. I have around 30 direct reportees, I would say, and I talk to them on a very regular basis. Like, at least once every 2 weeks, I mean, I connect with them in my one-on-ones and all that, and I hear them out. I hear out their problems. I mean, many of them, they might have like personal issues that might be impacting their work and all that. So having that kind of a trustworthy relationship, right, where they are able to share that with me, where they would know that I'll be there for them when they need it, kind of. So that really helps them. I mean, that helps me to work with them really closely and helps me make them deliver things as well. It's not like I mean, they are doing it just for the sake of doing it, kind of, right? They know that they have a trustworthy relationship with me, and I'm there to hear them out when they need, and I'm there to support them as needed. So there have been scenarios when they might not be able to take up something because they have other personal commitments, or they have to support another family member, or scenarios like that, where having that kind of a relationship would they'll be able to tell me that openly, and then I'll be able to find some alternative to that and all that. I never ever block people like from taking vacations or spending time with the family and things like that. So that really plays too much. I mean, that's a very critical factor when it comes to like leadership and this kind of management roles, I would say.
Yeah, like managing a couple of people here, like at the podcast itself, like I feel like, see, you become empathetic after a while. Like it's not forced on you. You start to understand that people have their own lives, their own work and everything, and it's not easy to get everyone on the same page all the time. So I feel like after these, like, couple of 9 months that we've been doing this podcast, I myself become more empathetic towards the rest of the team. So it's, yeah, I also feel like empathy is very important, like to have that personal connect with people. I had a follow up on the leadership thing. So, as a woman in leadership, have you ever faced issues specifically because you were a woman, or have you all had to do go the extra mile that your male colleagues might not have to do just because you're a woman? So, if you've ever had felt that.
Not really, because I have been under very strong woman leaders from that perspective. I mean, from the time I switched jobs from my like previous service industry into this product base, I've been under very, very strong and thoughtful women leaders that they have given me that opportunity to grow. And even the organization I work for, right? I mean, they are very empathetic towards women leadership. They want to bring more women into the leadership role and all that. If you know a bit of background about my company, our CIO is a lady. I mean, she came in from Target, and she is a very strong leader. In fact, I mean, she manages the entire enterprise of like digital and stores and lot many things, and she is very favorable to women in leadership kind of role. So I've been lucky enough to get that kind of an opportunity. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good to know, because some companies have this male dominated kind of, and I mean, in the West Coast, we talk about the startup tech bro community, where the guys are ruling everything and the women are like, what is going on here? I don't have any connect to the company. So yeah, it's good to know that Lowe's has a good across the board. Ashwin, do you want to ask something?
Yes. So uh, So you said the reason for moving to management was you wanted to make a bigger impact, right? Okay. So did you enjoy working on the technical side? Like, was becoming an architect or something like that? Was that something you considered?
Not really, because technical stream is something that you have to be really up to date on the technologies on a day in day out basis. I mean, specifically in software engineering, you would know, right? Everything keeps changing on a day to day basis, and you have to be so much tech savvy and so much up to date on each and everything. Otherwise, you will not be able to contribute relevantly in your field of area, right? So that's not something I had considered ever.
Mhm.
Because I'm not that kind of a tech savvy person, I would say. I mean, I enjoy learning about technology stack and what is new in the industry and all that, but then I'm not that deep hands on, I would say. I wouldn't be able to spend that much time being so much technical. So that's not something I had considered. Yeah.
So
So,
one thing I've heard managers say is that once you become a manager, if you are an individual contributor, like you are in control of what you want to do, right? But once you become a manager, like you have to delegate your work to other people, and you have to make sure that they do the work.
Mhm.
Uh, so is that less hectic or more hectic for you because you're not
more
creating?
hectic.
It's more hectic for sure. I mean, see, when you have to do something, you are in control of that. You want to do it, you can do it. It's
Yeah.
not like that with others, right? You have to bring the team together. You have to make sure that they work on time. And right now, I'm working on a very time sensitive project, and we have to get it delivered by like mid October. And I'm like, I have to talk to every person and keep them motivated and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do, kind of, right? So it's really a very hectic process. I mean, even from time perspective and all that, right? I mean, there are more number of people that you have to manage and make sure that they do their work regularly. So you have to be spending that extra time. And even as I mentioned, right, I have lot number of direct reportees, and even talking to them takes a lot of my time, right? And on top of that, you have to make sure that all that design is in place and it's being worked on, and there is not any blockers and things like that, right? On a day-to-day basis, from an execution perspective, there are a lot of things that you have to take care of. And then even from I mean, my current role being that of a director, right? I'm more involved in that thought leadership and that strategic planning and all that. So it's a combination of both, kind of like execution, day-to-day execution, and strategic role. So that's why it's kind of really hectic. Because I mean, being an individual contributor, I'm not denying that they are not putting in any effort or anything. I mean, there is a lot that they are doing too, right? But then when it comes to managing a team and making sure that others are doing their job, right? That's really more of how you influence them, how are you able to bring that positive outcome from them and all that, right? That's really, I mean, it's a skill you get to learn eventually. So yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we can step a little away from all the technical stuff. And so, in terms of, so you've been in the US for a long time, since 2009, right?
9. Yeah, yeah.
Um, Before we started the podcast, we talked about how you were in Chicago for a long time. So, how is that transition from a big city like Chicago to North Carolina, Charlotte in North Carolina? How has that transition been?
It was, I mean, it had both its pluses and negatives, I would say. I mean, from a facility perspective, of course, I mean, Chicago is a top-notch city, and there are direct international flights from India to Chicago, actually. But then if I have to come here, right, I have to take like 3 flights. So, jokes apart, I mean, it's been a very, I mean, I would say the opportunities that exist in Chicago, right, are top-notch. I mean, there are a lot many opportunities from a company perspective and all that, right? But then, as I mentioned, right, I was in the retail industry for long enough, and the company I was working for in Chicago was not doing well in terms of business and all that. And several of the leadership team members moved on to this new company. So, and they brought me in with them, kind of. So I had that relationship with them and that opportunity I got to put in my supply chain knowledge and my I mean e-commerce expertise and all. I got that opportunity to put that into use here, so that's how I moved with them, kind of, to those. And those was undergoing a lot of transformation at the time. I mean, this was a very legacy operated business, kind of, and right now in the last 3-4 years is when we are making all those technological transformations and all that. So from that perspective, the opportunity that I got got the growth that I got here, right, is something that I might not have got in Chicago. So
Right.
that
So
way, it's a great thing. But then, yeah, facility wise and city wise and all that, again, this is a very remote place, I would say. But then, weather is really good.
So, you pressed on one topic there called networking. You said that you had a relationship with people. So I also have this. I had an experience where at my previous company, I had a good relationship with a lot of teams, like multiple teams across systems, design, and all. And right now, those people moved on to other companies, and they're reaching out to me saying, "Hey, Atul, if you ever want to move to our company, you're welcome to interview with us." So when you create those networks, those relationships, they help you in the long run. So maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, as I was saying, right? I mean, it's really important that you make those meaningful relationships and networks when you are in a given place, right? It's not just about doing your work day to day and all
Right.
that.
Yeah.
As you want to move further ahead in your career path and all that, right? It's critical that you maintain those kind of relationships with, like, maybe leadership team, with business partners and all that. And when they have seen the work that you've put in, right, they have that confidence in you that you will be able to deliver whatever be the scenario, right? Because they've seen you do that, and that kind of a relationship would give you a head start when you move into a new place. Actually, it doesn't have to be I start from like from ground up and then you have to prove yourself and all that, right? You
Correct.
have
Yeah.
already proved yourself in your previous relationship, and then they have that confidence in you, so they will be more than willing to get you on board and make you contribute and things like that, right? So that's really important. So I mean, I would say for me, those relationships are what have given me this opportunity and have given me the opportunity to grow in my career as well.
Yeah. That's good to know. Uh, Meenakshi, can you hear us? Are you there?
Yes, I can hear it.
Hey.
Yeah. I'm sorry, എനിക്കിപ്പോ
Hey,
ക്യാമറ ഓൺ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല.
സാരമില്ല. മീനാക്ഷിക്ക് ഒരു 2 മിനിറ്റ് റെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ തരാം, എന്നിട്ട് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് അങ്ങോട്ട് വരാം. സോ നിത്യ, ഒരു പേഴ്സണൽ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ കൂടെ ചോദിച്ചിട്ട് മേ ബി ഐ ക്യാൻ ലെറ്റ് മീനാക്ഷി ആസ്ക്. US വിസിറ്റ് ചെയ്തതിൽ ഏറ്റവും ഇഷ്ടമുള്ള സ്ഥലം ഏതാണ്?
ഏറ്റവും ഇഷ്ടമുള്ളത് we have been on a trip to Utah and Arizona once, so that's one place I've really liked it. I mean, I have heard in one of your previous podcasts someone talk about it, that it looks as if you're not on Earth, kind of. I mean, some of those national parks, right?
Right,
Beyond
yeah.
National Park, and so those areas are, I mean, something beautiful I've seen. I mean, again, I'm not too much of a traveler, I would say, with kids and family and day-to-day commitments. It's really difficult to travel as much. But then at least we try to go at least to one place a year, kind of, at least.
Right.
So yeah, that's one place I would say I've really enjoyed. I'm not really a city person, kind of. I don't like crowd and traffic and all that. So even though I visited SF, California and all that, right, that's not a place I really like. So
So you're happy that you moved to North Carolina?
North Carolina, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Meenakshi, if you want us something. So Meenakshi, we asked about like management, women in management, services industry. ഇതൊക്കെയാണ് ഇതുവരെ കവർ ചെയ്തത്. But if you want to ask something, no, go ahead.
Okay. I'm not sure if you guys asked this question. I don't see a master's in your profile. What do you think ഒരു മാസ്റ്റേഴ്സിന്റെ ആവശ്യമുണ്ടോ to get to a level that you are in now? Would that have helped you, or do you think that exposure, actual on the ground exposure, is what is more important than forcing you to have a master's or a?
Actually, it depends on a case by case basis. Like, if you have gotten the opportunities to work in those areas and to have gotten that exposure and all that, then I don't know if it will really matter that you have a master's or not. But as you move higher up in your career path, right? I mean, I've reached where I've reached, but then if I would want to grow up into, like, into the C-suite and all that, right? Masters for sure would really help me. I mean, I'm eventually planning to do maybe like an executive MBA or something of that sort, so that I can get that knowledge and all that. When you're, like, playing that kind of a very strategic role within the company and all that, and masters specifically, like, a
MBA.
business administration masters, right?
Right.
That would really help. as you grow higher up in the career path, like into more senior leadership roles, being a VP, SVP kind of roles and all that, right? And if you would want to eventually move into a business or product and all that, for sure, that's something that would be really helpful. So eventually I might consider, but yeah, right now I didn't really need it. But then it's not the case always. Like it will really depend upon the opportunities that you get. Like if you've been at the right time at the right place, then for sure, and you have gotten the right kind of exposure, then it doesn't really matter at this point. But then for moving higher up and like you want to grow into that leadership role and all that, then for sure it's a very added plus, I would say.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
Okay.
we touched upon this earlier in some other episode also, that നമുക്ക് management റോളിലോട്ട് മാറാനായിട്ട് we don't necessarily need an MBA, like, and you are a very good example of that. But what I'm hearing is if you want to move like C-suite, like CIO, CTO kind of role, then it really helps to have like an MBA to your profile.
Yeah, because you are learning all those day-to-day activities, financials of the company, how to manage the company and all, right? That you don't really get without either playing that role, which I don't know if we would get that opportunity to play that role in the first place. But if you have that kind of an exposure through your masters, right, that will be really helpful. Like I've seen my peers who have done MBAs. They know about the financial statement of a company, what does each line in that really mean and all that, right? So that kind of a knowledge I don't really possess, except like hearing our CEO talk about those financial things when he does the quarterly announcements and all that, right? I don't have much knowledge about that, but getting that knowledge, right? I'm not saying MBA specifically, but then you should at least get to learn those things, like maybe doing some specific courses, management stream courses or something like that. That would be really helpful, actually.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about profit and loss, right? And if you don't know
Yeah,
how to understand or read through those numbers, then you're
yeah,
not fit to
yeah.
be an executive. That's what I
True.
feel. Ashwin, do you want to ask something?
Yeah. So this is the question even I have. So like, since you are in a management position, like you must be having a better view of the US economy and things like that. Like, so what is your take on like, is there going to be a recession or something like that in the near future? Or should students who are planning to come to the US this year, is that something they should be worried about, or like what?
I don't know if I can give you a very good answer on that, but what I've seen, at least from around what's happening around, kind of, right? There are a lot of companies who are kind of like cutting down on roles, and a lot of layoffs and all happening and all that. Economy might it doesn't. So last couple of years, right, being in the retail industry, we have seen a very huge growth in our sales and all that, just because like people were in lockdown and they tended to do like a lot of DIY, like do it yourself kind of projects. And we are in the home improvement business, right? That gave us a very great sales
The,
numbers
the
last
pandemic
couple
was
of years.
the pandemic was a blessing for you.
Was a blessing for us. We saw a high increase in the trend of sales for like deep freezers, and then lot of projects, personal projects that people ended up doing, like a lot of painting things that they did, lot of renovations they did to their homes, and outdoors and all that, right? Because they were spending all their time at home the last couple of years. But recently we have seen a negative trend in that, because DIYers have, that spend that they're doing on their day-to-day activities has really considerably reduced, and that has obviously impacted our sales also, right? So what I would say is, I don't know if it's really, I don't know if I am I can say if there is a recession or not, but then in general, right, the visa things and all that haven't, I don't think it's really favorable one at this point in time, because eventually you have to wait a long number of years to get your GCs and
Right.
permanent residencies and things like that in this country. So even like my peers, I've seen them move out of the US. Like,
Mhm.
they move on into other countries. There have been a lot of migrations into Canada, to Australia, where it's easier to get, and to the UK as well, right? So I've seen that trend. So I don't know if it's going to improve really
So
from what it was before.
Meenakshi
Yeah.
is a victim of that
Yeah.
system. But അല്ലേ മീനാക്ഷി?
അതെ. But fortunately, we had acted early enough. But by the time we got I don't know if we got chucked out yet, because I still have one more year to go try stamp my H1B visa. PR ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു, so we could come back to North America. I'm still working for a US company. Yeah.
Yeah, even we used to have that backup options. I mean, I had a Canadian PR at one point in time, but we never ended up going to Canada except for the stamping. So it was like, yeah, we had to keep our options open. You can never say what's going to happen in Germany, right? So
True. And what is your visa status now, and how was that journey?
so I am on H1B still. My green card date is current. It's going on. I mean, processing is going on. Yeah, I hope to get it soon. I hope so. If
എനിക്ക് ഹോപ്പില്ല. I am like, എപ്പോഴെങ്കിലും കിട്ടും.
yeah, that was my
There's no
fate.
guarantee here.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like this for like 10 years now, right? I mean,
Right.
it was filed like 10 years back, and now is when it became current. So yeah.
So
You
actually
can
എനിക്ക്
never say. I mean, I used to. I mean, we used to discuss in our family, like, both the kids are US citizens. So I was like, yeah, my elder one, by the time he grows up, maybe he might be able to sponsor me, kind of. I mean, even if by that time I'm not able to get GC, right? Yeah.
I used to joke with my old colleagues when we used to have lunch, like, can you adopt me? Like,
Yeah, that's another option. Yeah.
and then one option my another colleague told me is you should start a religion and just become like the priest or something, because priests like religious figures get some other visa, you get direct green card. So
you can also learn some musical instruments. Appo aa perum parnittu you think gurudwaras or some places like that, they can sponsor you as somebody who can play all these instruments and then
oh,
get
is
you.
it? That's
I
interesting.
had a cab driver who was on religious visa because he used to play some kind of instrument. He used to work 2-3 hours a day in the Gurudwara and then do Uber after that. He's green card.
എന്തൊക്കെ ലൂപ്ഹോൾസാ. Actually, എനിക്ക് അശ്വിനോട് ഒരു ക്വസ്റ്റൻ ഉണ്ട്. സോ അശ്വിൻ, ഡ്യൂറിങ് യുവർ പോഡ്കാസ്റ്റ് യു സെഡ് ദാറ്റ് യു ഡോണ്ട് വാണ്ട് ടു ഗോ ഇൻ ടു മാനേജ്മെന്റ് ആൻഡ് ഓൾ. അപ്പോൾ ഈ ഒരു പോഡ്കാസ്റ്റ് ആഫ്റ്റർ ലിസ്ണിംഗ് ടു നിത്യ, have you changed your mind, or are you still stuck?
Yeah, that is something I want to consider in the future. Like, I want to become like technically strong first, and then
Right.
what I would say is that, like, you
yeah,
can't.
the main thing is you get that decision making power. You get the power to influence how your company is going to run, even if not like too much, right? But still, your day to day activities, you get that decision making power, and you can like bring in people, and you can drive the way things are working and all that, right? So you do get I mean, there are a lot of responsibilities along with that power, but still, you feel that you are able to influence the decisions and all that, and in a very good sense, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
That's good.
I had a question. What is it? I forgot. നാട്ടിൽ എവിടെ നിത്യ? Actually, we didn't ask you that.
Ernakulam, in my place, but my husband is from Bangalore. He's settled
Okay.
in Bangalore, so after marriage, I moved on there.
Oh, okay. So, SCT memories ഓർക്കുമ്പോൾ, like, do you have anything that you remember or that you'd like to share with us?
The main thing was that was the first time I was staying away from home. I was staying in a paying guest there. I mean, I was staying as a paying guest there, close to college. So, I mean, we got a lot of freedom and all that away from home, and not having parents to monitor you all the time and all that. And so that way, my college life I enjoyed a lot, specifically my hostel mates and all. Yeah, that is one good thing I miss about college. And then again, getting into work, I joined Infosys right after my college, and we were there in Mysore for training. And you might have heard other people mention it too.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
it's an awesome facility, and we got to spend like 6 months there. Again, you don't get to enjoy facility much because the training is really hectic,
Yeah.
and you have to pass all the things with the, I mean, with 80%, 75, 80% or something. That's kind of the cutoff there. So yeah, to keep your job, whatever you have got, right? you get to put in a lot of effort for that. Yeah. So yeah, that has been pretty much.
So, since you were in the services industry, and ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് കമ്പനിയിലാണല്ലോ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, like it's a can you hear us, Nithya?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
അപ്പം the question, like, ഞങ്ങൾ ഇടയ്ക്കിടയ്ക്ക് അങ്ങോട്ടും ഇങ്ങോട്ടും ചോദിക്കും, like, should we work in a services company or should we work in a product company? അതും ഞാൻ product company ആകുമ്പം I am always pushing for a product company. And Ashwin is also working at VMS, so അതൊരു product company. So have you felt like differences like between product companies and services companies? Like അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് പറയാം.
Yeah, I mean, see, in services company, you get to work with different clients and different domains and all that. That kind of an experience you wouldn't get in a product company. But product company, you get to influence like the product in a very big way. I mean, you are working on a specific domain or a specific area. Sorry about that. Just a second.
No problem. Yeah. മീനാക്ഷി സുഖമായിട്ടിരിക്കുന്നോ?
So for now, മോളും ഞാനും മാത്രമേ തിരിച്ചു വന്നുള്ളൂ.
Okay.
So husband is still in India. അപ്പൊ അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഒരു ചെറിയ ഡിലേ. കൊച്ചിനെ ഓർക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിട്ട് I was driving. ഞാൻ ട്രെയിനിന് എടുത്തോണ്ട് പോയിട്ട് ഓർക്കിക്കൊണ്ടു.
മീനാക്ഷി എവിടെയാ? വിൻസറിലാണോ? കാനഡയിൽ എവിടെയാ?
Mississauga, Toronto.
So Detroit, I heard that a lot of people commute from Detroit to Windsor.
We were also planning to do that. Live in Windsor, drive to Detroit to work every day, man. Yeah, Windsor attracts everybody from Detroit and PR. Like how Niagara does for, New York side lo alkar.
Yeah, West Coast we don't have that because the two major cities are far apart, like Seattle and Vancouver. Can't meet daily.
Yeah, sorry about that, Aman.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
No worries.
Are you walking and taking the call?
No. We are actually outside this week. They had Onam celebrations and all that.
Okay.
Oh, is it the GCKS celebration? I used to be part of that. Like, there's a great.
No, I mean it's just at a friend's place. So here they have a Malayali Association, Charlotte Malayali Association. So their program is like next weekend, like Saturday. Next week is when they are celebrating their own year.
Yeah, because when I was in Raleigh, there was this community called GCKA, Greater Carolina Kerala Association. So which used to include both North Carolina and South Carolina.
Yeah, they have a lot of associations. Yeah.
So നമ്മൾ പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് ആൻഡ് സർവീസസ് കമ്പനിയെ കുറിച്ച് പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്.
So yeah, I mean both has its own advantages and disadvantages. I would say, I mean, having worked in both the industries, right? I see it gives you. I mean, both has its own pros and cons. Again, services industry, you get to work in different domains, different technologies, and a lot of different things like that. But in product, maybe you are focused on specific areas or specific domains. Like you're working in a retail product company, then you get to work in the different areas of retail. You work in e-commerce, supply chain, things like that. I worked in an insurance domain too in my previous stint, and there you get to work on the different areas within insurance. So that way you'll be really focused in that specific domain, I would say. But being in a services industry, you would get that opportunity to explore different domains, and anything is a learning experience, I would say. I mean, there is not, one over the other kind of, but from a salary perspective, I've noticed that product companies pay you better than services. Yeah.
Especially tech, if you're working for the top tech company, then ഒന്നും പറയാനില്ല. You're going to make a shit ton of more money than where എവിടെയെങ്കിലും.
True. Yeah.
I think maybe one last question I had and we can kind of wrap up. So ഒരു question ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു, you made that switch from an individual contributor to a management role. Like if people are wanting to do that, like let's say I'm me as a software engineer or Ashwin as a software engineer, and we want to become more of a leadership, like what do you think we should do, or what skills do we need in order to make that transition?
So main thing is, being an individual contributor, right? You for sure know what you do on a day-to-day basis, the technology stack involved, and I'm just talking in terms of software engineering industry, right? So what your day-to-day work looks like and all that, and you would be able to do all that. But then switching into the management stream, the main thing is about people management, right? So you need to gain those skill sets. So there are like different, like in under my domain itself or under my org, there are few people who are in individual contributor role right now who want to eventually move into that management stream kind of, right? So we have like design courses that they could attend. We have manager leadership trainings that we give them, like multiple days worth of trainings and all that, where they would get that opportunity on how a team plays. Like you are going to be driving that team, you're going to be leading that team and making deliveries and things like that, right? So you for sure require to know all the people management skills. How do you handle conflicts? How do you handle teams? How do you build that relationship with the team members and things like that? So there are like multiple leadership experience trainings that we give to those people in order to make that switch kind of. So I believe there should be some trainings available even outside of outside in other spaces too. So you should be able to make use of that and switch into the role.
I think one way to get started is have that discussion with your leader, saying that, hey, I'd like to transition to a leadership role. Maybe that can be a first step, right?
Yeah, for sure. Your leader knows you better because he or she has been working with you on a day-to-day basis. So they would understand what your positives are, what are the areas that you would need improvement on, and things like that, right? Maybe what you're falling short of, and they themselves playing that role, right? They'll be able to better guide and mentor you. And we also have this mentorship programs. Like you can tag team with someone who is already playing that role to understand how their day-to-day looks like what kind of responsibilities they have on a day-to-day basis and all that. So that way you will get to learn from them also, right? So yeah.
എൻ്റെ മാനേജർ എന്നോട് എപ്പോഴും പറയും, അതൊരു ഭയങ്കര സോഫ്റ്റ് ആണ്, ഇങ്ങനെ സോഫ്റ്റ് ആവാൻ പാടില്ല.
You need to be aggressive, right?
അഗ്രസീവ് ആൾക്കാർ വഴക്കൊക്കെ പറയണം, ബഹളം ഉണ്ടാക്കണം. എന്നാലും ആൾക്കാർ
There are
നമ്മളെ
different
റെസ്പെക്ട്
kinds of different kinds of managers, so it'll depend.
Yeah, so I have had both. Like I worked in a company where everybody was aggressive, and now I'm working in a place where people are very soft. Both the people were able to get things done. Yeah.
Oh,
So it's more like, yeah, the first one created more aggressive people, but കുറച്ച് toxic ആയിരുന്നു environment. The second one, people take their own time to get things done, but everybody is happy, so it's like everything is positive and nobody backstabs or anything. So
and it really depends on your industry also. Retail is an industry where things change on a day-to-day basis, right? There is a lot of competition, and how do you keep on top of your competitors and all that? So time is really critical from that perspective, right? Like you cannot sit on some new changes to be done like for 6 months in a row kind of, right? By that time things would have changed drastically and you have to do something else, right? And your competitors might have already taken that win over you. So it really depends on your industry too. So as I've mentioned, I have worked in insurance domain too, where things are not as much hectic or as much fast paced as it is in retail industry. But this is the environment that I like, so I switched back to retail again because I cannot stand laid back kind of environment. So
okay, yeah, I think let's wrap up. This is a good discussion around, I think, management. I think you're the first person that's actually a manager, like a leader kind of level ulla aal. So this is a very interesting conversation. Yeah, thanks to Nithya, Ashwin, and Meenakshi. If you guys want to ask something else, or maybe we can wrap up.
Yeah, I actually have one more question.
Sure.
So ഞങ്ങൾ usually host ചെയ്യുന്ന ആൾക്കാർ എല്ലാവരും are from 2012 batch. So we have just entered into our 30s. So for you, like being our senior, you are appo ഞങ്ങളുടെ initial ഒരു 10 years കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് you have seen the next 10 to 20 years of career. So what do you think is different when you compare US career from when you are like 10 to 20 years experienced employee and then your peers in India? What makes it different in the US or better?
Are you talking about like early years of career versus now, or
no, 10 to 20 what do we get in the US versus what people are getting in India?
മീനാക്ഷിയുടെ ചോദ്യം, ഞാൻ നാട്ടിൽ പോകണോ അതോ US നിൽക്കണോ എന്നാണ് ചോദ്യം.
അല്ല അങ്ങനെയല്ല. So what is
actually എനിക്ക് അത്ര വലിയ ഡിഫറൻസ് തോന്നുന്നില്ല. Considering the current situation, right? You have a lot of opportunities in India and US. It's not like you have anything more that you get here versus in India kind of, right? Because our organization has an office back in India too, and pretty much everyone my peers in that area play the same kind of roles that I'm playing here, right? So there is not an added advantage of me being here in US versus them being in India, right? Because it's a global organization right now. I mean, pretty much every organization which is in US has an offshore location, either in Bangalore or Pune or wherever that location is, right? And the opportunities that you're getting earlier, that never used to be the case. Like you have certain service companies and you come on site through them, and then you work here for the clients. Your clients don't have a base back there, right? But
Mhm.
now that's not the case. Things have changed drastically. I mean, when I started working, like my previous client never had an office in India at all. So we used to be their offshore location, right? I mean, our service companies used to support that client back there. But now, since every organization is building kind of a development center in India, right? The opportunities that you have, the salaries that you get for those roles back in India, right? It's really competitive. I mean, people in India, I've seen them making a lot of money, and them getting the facility of making use of that money also, right? I mean, you get to keep like house help there. You get to have your own car and drivers there. I mean, I've seen that when I go back there, and here we end up when we have to do all that role here, right? I mean,
You have to put
it's
your
really
own petrol.
difficult to
You have to fill your own gas here.
yeah. So that way, I mean, they're getting really paid well. They're getting a lot of opportunities there because a lot of these product companies have their locations back in India, right? So that way, I mean, being in India at this point in time, I would say it's an added plus because you have your family back there. Here, that's one thing that's kind of, I mean, that we are lacking also, right? You get to do, or I mean, you have to do all your work on your own. You're away from your family and things like that. So that's one thing I would say. I mean, right now it's pretty much safe in both locations, whether you're in US or India, right? It doesn't really matter much. That's my perspective. I'm not sure.
Nallൊരു question ആയിരുന്നു actually, Meenakshi. Like we only talk about how things are in the US. We never talk about how things are for our peers in India. Like നമ്മുടെ ബാച്ചിലാണെങ്കിലും people who went into product companies, they are doing very well. Like നാട്ടിലെ
Yeah,
standards
they
വെച്ച്
are.
നോക്കണം.
I mean, recently, നല്ല pay ആണ് actually അവിടെ. If you compare, I mean, it's almost comparable to what you earn in the US, right?
Yeah.
Converted into Indian rupees. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty much the pay they are getting. So that way, you have all the facilities, and along with that, you are making that good money too. So that's
Yeah.
a great
The
plus, I would say. Yeah.
economicsലൊരു ടേം ഉണ്ട്, ബിഗ് മാക് ഇത് like they're saying like how much does it cost to buy a Big Mac in that country, then scale that to your salary. That shows how much money you are actually making. So US Big Mac you're paying $5 and maybe you're making 100K. So നാട്ടിൽ Big Mac അത്ര വിലയില്ല. So you don't need to be making 100K in India to afford a Big Mac. So അങ്ങനെ നോക്കുമ്പം there's a proper term for that. I don't remember right now. Yeah, anyway, let's kind of wrap up. Thank you, Nithya, for spending your time with us. Almost 1 hour. ഇപ്പൊ മനസ്സിലായല്ലോ 1 മണിക്കൂർ എങ്ങനെയാ പോകുന്നതെന്ന്.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great talking to you guys. I mean, from the time like I was reached out for this, right? I was really excited about this. I was telling Atul just before this call started that I've been hearing. I went back and heard pretty much all of your podcasts, previous podcasts, and all that, just to see how are people. I mean, talking. What are they talking for 45 minutes or 1 hour, right? I mean, yeah. So it was really great, and this is a great thing that you're doing. I mean, building up this community and network in US, right? That US and Canada, it's a great thing. I mean, we haven't been able to do anything for our alma mater, but then this is a great opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, let's hope this is just a start and we can other people can take this up and push it forward. Yeah, one thing we're looking at is ഇത് നമ്മൾ ചെയ്തിട്ട് ഇതിന്റെ ബെനിഫിറ്റ് ആർക്കാണ്. Like we want our juniors and everyone to take this up. So we're trying to come up with a framework where we are measuring what we do against that. അതായത് അവരത് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടോ, അവർ റീച്ച് ഔട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടോ. So we're
So
trying to
are
build.
you guys connected with the college in some way?
Yeah.
I mean, are there students who are? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so നമ്മൾ ഈ ഇടയ്ക്ക് ഒരു കോഡിംഗ് കോമ്പറ്റീഷൻ നടത്തിയായിരുന്നു വിത്ത് ദ IEEE സ്റ്റുഡൻറ് ബ്രാഞ്ച് ICTയിലെ. We had about 150 students participate. So like that, we're trying to build that relationship so that students know that we have something like this going on and you have seniors you can reach out to if you have questions and all that. So otherwise,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah.
there's a lot of work involved there. We are still working on that. അപ്പം if you've got any ideas and all, we would love to hear. And I hope you're getting all the emails ഇനിയും ചറവറ എല്ലാ ആഴ്ചയും കിട്ടിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കും.
Sure. Yeah, and whatever help you need from me, right? I'm
Definitely.
ready to help out. Like, I mean, as I was saying earlier, right? Our organization supports a lot of, mentorship programs and internships and things like that. I mean, we visit pretty much all the colleges here. I mean, whichever is closer to Charlotte area, kind of, right? So we do have students whom we take from colleges for internship programs and things like that. So if you know of anyone who would be like who would want to explore their career opportunities with Lowe's and all that, for sure, feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
Lowe's is doing really great, and we have a lot of opportunities for software engineering students and all that. So
Yeah, definitely.
whatever help I can be of.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, everyone, thanks Ashwin, thanks Minashi, thanks Nithya once again. ഞാൻ streaming നിർത്താം,
Thank
and then we'll
you.
just debrief for 2 minutes if you have some time. Just 2 minutes.
Sure.
നമുക്കൊന്ന് debrief ചെയ്യാം. Okay, take care everyone.